Hey, welcome back. Let's cut right to it. The trade chatter around the Cowboys is heating up and, honestly, there's a lot to unpack before the window slams. You've probably seen the latest Tom Downey breakdown. We're hearing the same names over and over. Trevon Diggs, Max Crosby, Jeffrey Simmons, Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, and even secondary pieces like Jordan Brooks and Micah Fitzpatrick. That's not a coincidence. Teams are calling, and Jerry's phone is definitely getting buzzed. I'm going to walk you through what's real, what's noise, and what actually makes sense for Dallas. If you want live deadline reaction and fast updates, hit subscribe. We're closing in on 16,000 subs, and every new subscriber helps get these videos out to more Cowboys fans like you. Now, first things first. There's a spectrum of rumor quality here. Some of this is, we call to check interest noise. Teams call to feel things out all the time. And some of it is legit intel from NFL insiders who have real sources. The difference matters because there's a big gap between a phone call and a firm offer. For example, a club might tell you they would listen to offers, which is not the same as saying they're actually shopping a player. So when you see Diggs' name or Max Crosby come up, keep that in mind. Presence on the list doesn't equal imminent trade. That said, the common theme you'll hear from insiders is Dallas is focused on the defensive front and on players under team control. Guys who can step in now and who won't break the bank long-term. That's smart roster building. The Cowboys have the luxury of chasing difference makers, but they also have to balance cap and control. On Trevon Diggs specifically, the chatter is twofold. His relationship with the club looks strained, and there are health and contract wrinkles that complicate any deal. Some insiders think Dallas could trade him if the price and timing make sense. Others figure it ends as a post-season cut if they can't find a partner willing to absorb the risk. From a pure value lens, you're not getting huge return when health and contract concerns are present. That's trade reality. And yes, that idea of eating money to move a player comes up. If the Cowboys want to move him now, they'll probably have to help the other team out financially. And that's a choice the front office will weigh against simply keeping control and cutting later if needed. Moving on, pass rush talk is loud. Max Crosby's name pops every deadline because he's an elite player who would instantly upgrade a front. And some outlets floated the idea that the Raiders might listen. But public comments from owners and front office types have been firm in the past. Crosby's not a seller unless circumstances change drastically. Also remember, when elite edge rushers are even remotely available, the price goes vertical. You're not getting him for a day 3 pick. Meanwhile, Trey Hendrickson is an appealing shorter-term option if you can stomach injury risk and he's not a bargain right now. Add in the Titans' defensive tackles, Jeffrey Simmons and DeAndre Sweat, and you have a complicated market where teams are hinting and the Cowboys are, unsurprisingly, making calls. I want to know what you think right away. Comment below with the single name you'd most want the Cowboys to trade for and why. While you type that, give this video a like if you want a deeper dive on cap numbers and potential trade packages. I'll do that next if there's interest. All right, that sets the table. In the next section, we'll peel back the Trevon Diggs situation and talk value, fit, and what Dallas should realistically expect to get in return. Trevon Diggs' name being tied to trade talk isn't just random rumor mill noise. There's real context here. Inside the Star, there's a sense that this relationship has cooled off a lot since last year. The injury setback, the big contract, and some frustration about how things have been handled have all created friction. When insiders like Jory Epstein at Yahoo Sports report that the Cowboys might be open to moving him if the right situation arises, that's not something you can just shrug off. It lines up with what we've heard for months. Dallas quietly looked at options even before the season kicked off. But here's the problem. Trevon Diggs right now is the definition of a tough trade piece. He's hurt, his contract is expensive, and the production hasn't matched the price tag. Recently, you're talking about a player due nearly $10 million this season, and whoever trades for him would still have to pick up roughly half that tab for what's left. That's a hard sell to any contender, especially when you add that he might need knee surgery depending on how his recovery responds. Teams simply don't want to take on a hurt, high-salary corner. Now, fans ask all the time, could the Cowboys just eat some money to make it happen? Technically, yes. They could absorb part of the hit to make the trade more appealing. But even then, what's the return? A late day 3 pick? Maybe a conditional 6th that becomes a 5th? When you consider his health, that's probably the ceiling right now. That's why most insiders agree the more likely outcome is an off-season separation, possibly even an outright cut if the team can't find a suitor. And I get it. That's not fun to hear. Diggs is talented. He's been one of the league's most dynamic ball hawks when he's healthy. But Dallas has to think about stability. They've already paid him a chunk of guaranteed money, so unless they can attach him to a bigger package for a major upgrade, say a defensive lineman or edge, there's not much point in forcing a deal now. That being said, the Cowboys' front office is always creative. Don't be shocked if they float his name quietly to gauge interest as a sweetener in a more significant trade. Imagine a scenario where Diggs and a mid-round pick are included to move up for a major defensive piece. That's how the Cowboys could spin value out of a bad situation. Otherwise, it's likely they wait, let the season finish, and revisit his future after the cap resets. From a roster chemistry standpoint, though, that delay can be tricky. Players know when a teammate's situation is hanging in limbo. It affects energy in the locker room, especially when the guy involved has been a big name in the organization. The Cowboys will want to handle it quietly and professionally. No drama, no leaks, because they can't afford distractions down the stretch. Now, here's where you come in. Be honest. If you were running the front office, what would you do? Trade him now for whatever you can get? Or wait it out and see if he can bounce back next season? Drop your answer below. Just type trade or wait. I want to see where Cowboys Nation stands on this one. And if you appreciate a breakdown that goes beyond the headlines, the actual numbers, the timing, and the chemistry, impact, hit that like button. It helps push this video out to more true fans who want real talk, not just rumor headlines. Up next, we're diving into the names that fans love to dream about, the pass rushers. From Max Crosby to Trey Hendrickson and the Titans' front line beasts, we'll separate wishful thinking from legitimate possibilities. All right, let's talk splash moves. Every time trade season comes around, Cowboys Nation lights up the comments with names like Max Crosby, Trey, Hendrickson, or even Jeffrey Simmons. And hey, I get it. That's the kind of star power fans want to see wearing that iconic star on their helmet. But let's cut through the fantasy talk and look at what's actually possible here. First off, Max Crosby. Every fan base in the NFL would love to have him. That's not an exaggeration. The guy is relentless, playing almost every defensive snap, and he'd instantly be the perfect complement to Micah Parsons. But here's the truth. The Raiders would have to be in complete rebuild mode to even listen to calls. Crosby's contract runs through 2026, and even though Vegas is shaky, they're not tearing it down right now. Plus, his cap hit would explode for Dallas, nearly $20 million a year. For a front office that didn't even pay Dak or ceedee yet? That's not happening. Then there's Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. This one's a little more realistic. He's made noise about being unhappy with his current deal, and Cincy might be open to moving him before he hits free agency. He's still playing at a high level, and his contract is actually reasonable for a top-tier edge. If Dallas really wanted to pair him with Micah and finally get that second consistent pressure threat, this would be the move to chase. But it would cost them. Think a second-round pick and probably a player. Maybe even someone like Osa Odigizua, or a future third just to make the numbers work. Now let's talk Jeffrey Simmons, the monster from Tennessee. Dallas fans have been begging for a true difference maker inside, someone who can anchor the middle and collapse pockets. Simmons would do exactly that. The Titans are clearly listening to offers after their recent moves. But here's the catch. Simmons' deal is massive, and trading him would mean eating a ton of dead cap for Tennessee. That means they'd demand a king's ransom in return. We're talking at least a first-round pick, maybe a third too. So again, unless Jerry Jones wakes up and decides, we're all in, right now, it's probably just a dream. There's also Brian Burns, who was moved to the Giants, but keep an eye there. If that experiment doesn't go well, Dallas could make a play later, maybe in the offseason. What's actually more likely is a smaller-scale addition. Think depth. A rotational guy like Carl Lawson, or maybe Denico Autry if Tennessee really starts cleaning house. Players who can plug in immediately, boost the rotation, and give Dan Quinn's defense some breathing room down the stretch. And listen, this is where fans often get frustrated. Why not make a big move? Why not go for it? But the Cowboys' philosophy under Stephen Jones has been clear. Draft, develop, and re-sign their own. They only go shopping when the price tag makes sense. That's how you end up with moves like Stephon Gilmore last year, cheap, calculated, and still effective. Now imagine if Dallas did go bold and land a Hendrickson-type rusher. You line him up on the opposite side of Micah, with Sam Williams rotating in, and suddenly this defense becomes terrifying again. That's the kind of move that can tilt playoff games. So let's throw that question out there. If you could pick one, Crosby, Hendrickson, or Simmons, who are you pulling the trigger on? Type their name down below and tell me why. And hey, if you're thinking none of them, that's fair too. Drop your ideal realistic target. All right, because you know we're not stopping there. Coming up in Chapter 4, we're breaking down how these trade rumors actually affect Micah Parsons, from his locker room mood to what it means for his contract talks and leadership role. This one's going to be good. So here's the thing. When you're talking about trading away big names like Trevon Diggs, or possibly adding another edge rusher, the first player everyone in the Cowboys building looks at is Micah Parsons. Because make no mistake, everything on this defense runs through him. And right now, Micah is watching all this unfold very closely. He's not shy about his feelings. We've seen it on social media. We've heard it in interviews. He wants to win now. He's tired of hearing about next year or building through the draft. The man's been saying it straight up. Stop talking about potential and start producing results. When he sees the team hesitating to go after elite defensive talent, or possibly shopping guys like Diggs, it sends a message, and not necessarily a good one. Remember, Micah's extension talks are coming soon. If he doesn't believe the front office is fully committed to surrounding him with championship-level help, That could create real tension. He's a competitor. He's emotional. That's part of what makes him great. But it also means he's aware of every move the team makes, or doesn't make. And that's where Jerry and Stephen Jones need to be careful. You can't preach win now and then go quiet when it's time to act. Now, let's talk about the locker room side. Players feed off leadership, and Micah is becoming the voice on defense. If he's fired up, everyone feels it. But if he's frustrated or distracted by rumors swirling around teammates, it can ripple through the entire group, especially the younger guys. They look at him for cues on how to handle the noise. And here's something most fans don't realize. Internally, coaches have noticed that Micah has taken more of a me against the world attitude lately. He's been more vocal, yes, but also more isolated at times, more focused on proving his own worth than keeping the unit cohesive. That's natural when you're under pressure, but it's also something Dallas doesn't want to let spiral. That's why you might see the front office make some kind of move, even a minor one, just to send the message. We hear you, Micah. We're not standing still. It doesn't have to be a blockbuster. Even bringing in a veteran rotational player shows effort, shows intent. That kind of gesture can reset energy in the room. And let's not forget the contract angle here. Micah's next deal is going to shatter the market for defenders. We're talking Nick Bosa money and maybe beyond. But if he starts to feel like the team isn't fully maximizing his prime years, negotiations could get tricky. He loves Dallas, but he also wants legacy. Rings, records, recognition. So the Cowboys' next few moves aren't just about improving the roster. They're about maintaining trust with their biggest star. You don't want your best player questioning the organization's direction. Now, one quick thought. Can you imagine what Micah would do with another elite rusher next to him? We've seen flashes when he and DeMarcus Lawrence are both healthy and locked in. Add one more threat on that line, and suddenly, Micah's free to move around, blitz from different angles, and just wreak havoc. That's what Dan Quinn built this defense to do, attack in waves. But all of that depends on whether the front office is willing to make the commitment. Because talk doesn't win championships. Action does. All right, in our final chapter, we're going to tie everything together. The Trevon Diggs uncertainty, the trade rumors, the Micah Parsons factor, and what the next few weeks could mean for the Cowboys' entire season. When you step back and look at the big picture, this entire situation feels like a crossroads moment for the Cowboys. It's not just about Trevon Diggs' trade value or whether they'll land another pass rusher. It's about what kind of team they want to be right now. You've got a franchise quarterback under constant scrutiny. You've got your star wideout, CeeDee Lamb, waiting for his payday. You've got Micah Parsons entering his prime and openly demanding urgency. And all of it is happening while the NFC is wide open. Teams like the Lions, 49ers, and Eagles are loading up. No hesitation. The Cowboys, they're in that in-between space again. Not rebuilding, not all in. Just waiting. And that's exactly what's frustrating the fan base, and even some people inside the building. The roster is good enough to compete, but there's this feeling that they're always one move short, one push away from being great. You hear it in Micah's tone, you see it in the fans' reactions online. Everyone's asking the same question. What are we waiting for? If Dallas wants to make a real statement, it doesn't even have to be a blockbuster. Sometimes it's just about showing life, proving you're willing to take a risk, bringing in a veteran, defensive tackle, making a creative swap that shakes things up. Even something small can shift the mood in the locker room and tell everyone, we're going for it. Because here's the truth. The Cowboys have the talent to make a playoff run, but the clock is ticking. Every season they delay making bold decisions is another year off the core's window. Trevon Diggs' situation, that's a test. How they handle it, quietly moving on, or keeping him and managing the chemistry, will reveal a lot about this front office's mindset. And with Micah Parsons, this goes even deeper. How the Cowboys respond to his unspoken challenge will define whether they're a playoff team or a Super Bowl caliber one. Players like Micah don't come around often. You either build around them with conviction or risk wasting their prime years with indecision. Now, none of this is doom and gloom. Far from it. Dallas is still stacked with playmakers. The defense can still dominate, and the offense, when it's clicking, is explosive. But if there was ever a time for Jerry Jones to step up and make that classic Cowboys moment move, it's now. Because, let's be honest, Cowboys Nation doesn't get excited about almost. We live for headlines, we live for fireworks, and we live for that feeling that our team is chasing greatness, not just maintaining relevance. So whether it's moving Trevon Diggs, landing a surprise defensive addition, or sending a message to the locker room, this next stretch is going to show us exactly what this team's made of. Let me leave you with this. When the Cowboys finally decide to go all in, the league better be ready. Because a locked-in Micah, a motivated ceedee, and a focused Dak is still one of the scariest trios in football. The question is, will Dallas finally make the moves to back that up? Now, it's your turn, Cowboys fans. Do you think the front office will actually pull the trigger on a major trade? Or is this just another year of what-ifs? Type yes if you believe they'll act, or no if you think it's more talk than action. Let's see where the real believers are. And if you made it this far, drop a like, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because as we've seen before, the moment you count this team out, that's when the fireworks usually start.